Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Feño from the fight side. This will be a quick edition of the yearly Prelim podcast. We're going to review UFC 309. Oh, blanking a little bit here. And we'll preview a little bit of the next fight night. So, UFC 309. Jones versus Miocic. Who cares, right? But yeah, let's do a quick rundown of the event. On the main event, Jon Jones defended his heavyweight title, not against Tom Aspinall, but against Stipe Miocic. I predicted a second round knockout. We got a third round knockout, so I was kind of close. Jones gets the stoppage with a spinning back kick to the body and follow up shots on the ground. Stipe here looked very old, very slow, no idea how to deal with kicks, to be quite honest. Not a lot of ideas to deal with southpaw. Jones mostly here operating from southpaw. Jones looked okay. He looked quick. He showed up a lot lighter for this fight. He seemed well conditioned. His shot selection looked good. And Stipe still managed to trouble him, just closing the distance with combinations and doubling up with the right hand and that kind of stuff. So Jones didn't look great here. He looked okay. He looked like a very good heavyweight, but still like very, very flawed. Still had to turn his back a lot of times. And we will be talking about turning your back in the next one too. But yeah, it was a nothing fight, to be honest. Like, Stipe did not show up. I mean, I'm not saying that he didn't show up. Like, he didn't have much to show up with, right? He's 42. He has been retired for a while. This was such a stupid fight. Is Jon Jones going to fight Aspinall? I don't know, man. I hope so, because that's like the only interesting fight that you can make a heavyweight. Jon Jones probably wants to fight Poatan Pereira. But like, I feel like Jon Jones just takes him down easily. Sick trip by Jon Jones in this fight to land vicious ground and pound. He looked great on that sequence, to be honest. But other than that, Jon Jones looked like regular Jones. Hard to tell how good, because he fought such a bad fighter in old retired Stipe Miocic, who had no ideas how to deal with Jones. And like, even if he showed up with the right ideas, you can tell that physically he was not there. So, yeah, fight kind of sucked. Co-main event saw Charles Oliveira beat the shit out of Michael Chandler for like 4 rounds and a half. Oliveira here looking very good, but a little bit more conservative. But yeah, striking against the fence with the counters, the combinations, and the takedowns look so impressive. Chandler looked very old here, in my opinion. He's still explosive, he's still quick, but he looked like rusty. His reactions looked trash. His footwork on the outside looked pretty bad. Like, a lot worse than it had looked in the past against, like, Charles himself, against Dustin Poirier. Like, Chandler, this version of Chandler was nothing to write home about. He's still dangerous, he's still very, very tough, and way better conditioned than you would think. But yeah. Charles not going for not fishing for submissions very hard. Just going for the rear naked choke. Not even selling out for the rear naked choke when he had the back of Chandler numerous times. Chandler who was cheating the whole fight, like just grabbing the cage, grabbing the inside of the gloves, and then when he hurt Charles on the 5th round, the follow-up shots a lot were like, it was that he was trying. I mean, I'm not sure, because Chandler is such a hero, right? But what I felt was that he was throwing with the excuse that the hammer fist was landing to the side of the head, but it was mostly his forearm landing flush on the back of the head of Charles. Very bad finishing sequence by Chandler too, like just like whiffing on punches, losing his balance. He could have finished that fight if he kept his cool a little bit. I don't think Charles Oliveira looked bad, but getting hurt on the 5th, a little bit concerning in a fight that he maybe should have been doing more damage to prevent that. but he looked great in his spots, I feel. Especially striking against the fence, punishing Chandler on his sloppy exit. Chandler also like turning his back and just sprinting out of range when he found himself in trouble, falling all over the place. Chandler, he looked pretty bad. So I feel like I feel like Du Bronx still has time at the top of the division, but I wouldn't take a lot of conclusions from this performance, neither good or bad. I feel like it is safe to say that Du Bronx is still himself. I'm not going to. His conditioning looked great here. His defense is still seemed to be there. He still looks quick and powerful. He showed up a little bit chubbier than usual, like not chubby, but less lean than usual, and that was interesting. But he looked good physically. I read that he was injured. I'm not sure what was the injury, and he got caught during camp too, right? But yeah, I mean, good for Charles Oliveira. Chandler needs to fight like way down in the division right now. Like someone deserves to fight against Chandler right now. Bo Nickel fought Paul Craig. No one had any expectation. Bo Nickel did the I'm gonna test myself on the feet and shit. First round for Craig, in my opinion. Even though like most judges scored it for Nickel, they were just like striking at distance. Paul Craig was landing body kicks, was taking a lot of the kicks from Nickel. He was trying to come over the top with his left hook when Nickel was trying to kick. That was an interesting look by Paul Craig. But then Paul Craig, like, I feel like he dropped the volume on the second round in a fight that was very winnable for him. And then on the third round, it was super close, and Bo Nickel landed like a good shot that kind of hurt Paul Craig. So yeah, I mean, Bo Nickel is okay on the feet. Not a. I mean, for being like just 7-0. I know 7-0 is not that. We've seen a lot of fighters, especially in these big divisions, to be like 7-0 and be like way better. I mean, or at least display more skill than Bo Nickel right now. I feel like it was kind of a smart decision to test his striking here, but he did not impress, to be honest. Is Bo Nickel ready for the top of the division? I don't know. We'll have to see against a matchup that pushes him a little bit more, right? Because he still won here without having to take a lot of risks. And you can tell the judging was going to go his way if it was close. So yeah, I mean, some people are saying, oh, Nickel needs a step below to develop, and I would usually say so, but the hype is kind of annoying, so I hope Bo Nickel fights up the division too, so we can actually find what his limits are right now, because we are not seeing him being pushed in these fights. So I would say like just push him up the division and see what happens. And if he loses, he can take a step back. But if he's going to be featured on the main card of pay-per-views, put him in hard fights, because I don't care about the quick knockouts about nobodies, and I don't care about these boring decisions against like favorable matchups. So if he's going to be taking spots from pay-per-views, put him in hard fights, okay? And I just don't say this just because I dislike Bo Nickel. I feel okay. Obviously, he's a tremendous prospect. He comes from a very, very impressive wrestling background. You can tell that he has a feel for striking. He has taken very well to submission wrestling as well. So it's the annoying part is that the UFC is hyping him so much and he's not showing that much. So if he's going to be fighting on pay-per-view main cards, as I said, making him fight someone like Marvin Vettori, someone that is going to be like, if he gets a win, even if it is a hard earned win, an ugly win, it would still be very impressive. This didn't do much for me. Viviane Araújo fought Karine Silva. I was expecting Silva to win here. Araujo surprised, pretty decent movement on the outside, moving Silva into shots, using combinations, moving, intercepting with the left hook, with the 1-2. She was looking pretty good, defended takedowns very well for most of the fight. Then the fight got a little bit sketchy because Silva just kept pushing. She's powerful, she's confident, and made things ugly. Both guys got very tired on the third round, and Araujo like managed to grit a win here. I think the UFC really wanted Karine Silva to win, but Araujo showed up. Good for her. Good for her as I think the older and less experienced fighter overall. Way more fights in the UFC, right? But and not maybe like way like 2 or 3 more maybe. But yeah, I mean, good for Araujo. I think yeah, like she's putting together something because she was like very exciting, but like changing the stances, doing like a little bit of TJ Dillashaw cosplay when she got to the UFC. Then she dropped all of that to become like this like very minimalistic like fighter that used his athleticism to win like boring fights. A little bit of what Alexa Grasso did against Shevchenko in her fight to win. And something that you could see in the fight between Araujo and Grasso, right? Just like exchanging 1-2s a lot, not doing like not a lot of variations on the tactics employed in the fight. But here she was like doing like more interesting stuff and with a more defined strategy. I thought it was a good look for Araujo. She's pretty old, but hopefully she still has time to put on good fights. Mauricio Hufi fought James John Top in what, in my opinion, was the best fight of the night. It was like a very clear contrast between like the athleticism and technical proficiency of Hufi, and especially with his striking mechanics, that he's very clean, right? And he's like very powerful. Against John Top, who is like very on the janky side, but he applies a lot of good concepts. He goes to the body, he pushes you back, he grabs clinches. So first round was close. Jon Jones was putting the volume on Hufi. I felt like he was winning, but then late into the fight he gets hurt super bad with a left hook. I think he got hurt twice with a right hook and a left hook, with a right hand and a left hook. Yes, I think it was a right hand, a cross counter on the first round that hurt Jon Jones. Didn't drop him, but he stumbled him back. So Hufi took the rounder. Then on the second round, Hufi hurt him bad with a like a weird like no look left hook. And then on the third round, Hufi was like not that tired, still dangerous, but Jon Jones was putting the pressure on him, and inside the clinch, landing knees to the body. He was punching to the body. He was putting the 1-2s, and Jon Jones took this on very short notice. He was like, Jon Jones has never been ripped, but he was like super soft here. And this was at 165, and he missed weight. He was like 165.5, something like that. And they still took money from his purse, despite he was doing a solid to the UFC, because the UFC really wanted to have Hufi in here. But yeah, it was a very good fight. Hufi probably has a lower ceiling than his other hyped fighters. Partners like Jan Silva, like Caio Borralho and Prates, but he still is like a very exciting addition. He's so dynamic, he has such good eyes, he has some like flaws, big flaws, especially the way that he tries to like shoulder roll both ways, moving backwards. That's kind of sketchy. To the body, he doesn't have much defense. But yeah, he's a solid, well put together fighter, and his cardio is like not that bad for his explosive style. Like Jon Jones was going to the body a lot. I wonder if like this was full cap against full cap, and Jon Jones goes to the clinch a lot more earlier. If things could have gone different, because Jon Jones was very close to winning this fight. Because as I said, like he got hurt at the end of the first, but he was winning the round before that. Like Hufi doesn't land that shot, and we could have seen Jon Jones taking 2 rounds here and winning. Before the feature fight of the prelims was Marcus McGee versus Jonathan Martinez. Very weird fight by Martinez, like super low volume. At the end you can understand, like McGee was giving him a lot of looks, putting combination punching, so he was like scaring it off a little bit, but then Martinez found his timing, started landing low kicks very sparsely. End of the second round, Martinez lands like his 5th or 6th low kick, and McGee's leg is fried, completely fried. And he's still not pursuing. He then killed the leg of McGee on the third round, and he went for a super long clinch. He started outboxing McGee too. Mind you, from the second round, McGee had a lot of trouble connecting on Martinez. Martinez was very responsible with the high guard. McGee landing a lot on the forearms, not landing a lot to the body. He was losing the leg kicking battle too, despite the volume differential. I thought Martinez won 2-3, but it was such a bad look that I knew the judges were never going to give him the nod. McGee wins a unanimous decision. I guess like rounds 1 and 2. It's whatever. A bit disappointed by McGee, just a bit. Like, it's clear that it was like somewhat of a bad style matchup, I guess, and I saw on tape that he was not very good at defending kicks, so he was doing good stuff to put the volume out there and keep like Martinez tentative. Martinez completely, just like Guti, he's a head case, man. He cannot put it together at times. I don't know what happened here. Did he take the wrong lessons from the Jose Aldo fight? I don't know, but this was not it. Even though I thought he won, right? But this is... He arguably won this fight if you go by criteria, but you know the judges are not going to give you a fight where you look like this. So it's like, it's on you. I hate to say this. Like, I feel like judges should score fights correctly, no matter stupid shit like optics or who tried harder or blah blah blah. Those are not part of the criteria, right? But at the same time, as a fighter, you gotta know that the judges are bad. So you gotta make sure you convince those motherfuckers. Jim Miller caught a first round guillotine, arm in guillotine against Damon Jackson. He caught him on the takedown, adjusted before jumping the gilly. Fantastic Jim Miller, man. Just great. We all love Jim Miller. He says he wants to get like 40 wins or something, or 45. I don't know, but Jim Miller is very cool. Damon Jackson retired. He didn't want to get an interview. Good for him. If he has like avenues to retire right now, I feel like this is a good moment, especially if he's not feeling it. I feel like Damon Jackson is still like pretty close to the top of his game. He's a fighter that has taken his fair amount of damage, but he retires like still being a good fighter, and I feel like that's something good, right? He can retire with his head held high. Damon Jackson was fun, man. Always brought it. And fought smart fight most times. Respect to the leash, Damon Jackson. David Onama versus Roberto Romero was the other good fight of the night. Very exciting. Romero came out very hot, but I was expecting Onama to figure him out and tire him a little bit as the fight went on. Onama, a lot of cool stuff with clinches, with going to the body with combinations, probably with the jab. Just very cool stuff. I think I have to give this one a rewatch because I don't remember like super well, but I was very excited watching this live. Onama got hurt bad on that first round too. He got dropped like hard. I mean, not at the end, like mid part, and then he recovered. He hurt Romero, like not as bad, but pretty bad too at the end of the first. And then second and third were like, as time went on, less and less competitive, and it was Onama in charge. It was a very cool fight. Marcin Tybura fought Jonathan Diniz. Diniz could not defend takedowns. The end of the second round, Tybura starts going to town with ground and pound finally after having him mounted for a while there. And then fight got stopped by the advice of the doctors between the second and the third. Ramiz Brahimaj showed up in like career best form against Mickey Gall, who looked a little bit lost. And before this, Owen Elliott was fighting Basil Hafez, and on the third round he also found a knockout. And if you guys remember, it was only 5 months ago that Hafez and Mickey Gall were involved in a pretty grueling war where both guys were landing very big shots, and maybe like you could say like neither got like knocked down, but both guys were clearly rocked several times throughout the fight. They were probably concussed. I'm not sure why they didn't get like 6 months of suspension, or maybe they did, I don't know. Yeah, these guys should have not been like these guys at best should be getting back into training at the moment, not getting into professional fights, and not to take away from Brahimaj and Ovan Elliott, because I thought both looked very good here. Brahimaj was very surprising because he has been like a lot more missed than hit in the UFC. But here he looked like very composed with his striking, putting good combinations together, not forcing takedowns. Didn't look like he was tiring or panicking. Mickey Gall was still finding a little bit of success, and he was getting better as the fight went on. But at the end, Ramis ends up with he knocks him out with I think he switches during his combination and catches Mickey Gall over the top with a right hook from southpaw. And put him out bad. Ovan Elliott, the other, was just like better than Hafez, just using the jab, moving on the outside well, very solid. I mean, the cagecraft maybe you can criticize, but I thought the footwork was very solid. He was putting his weapons together well, and he found a huge overhand right when Hafez was standing southpaw with a little bit of a level change feint and put him out bad. So, and the opener was Eduarda Moura, who was formerly a strawweight, moved up to fight Veronica Hardy, and Moura looked enormous as a flyweight. She's so big, and yeah, Hardy did not fight like the right fight here. Just like a lot of closing the distance without controlling the lead hand, because Moura was not giving it to her. And so she was like closing distance and in her right hands. And then on the third round, she finally like put it together. I won that round, I felt, but it was like, and Moura was able to get takedowns. It wasn't a very good performance by Hardy, to be honest, but good for Moura, because like, seems like this might be her weight class. If she can still be like a big powerful girl at this weight class, and she showed up like with very improved striking. Still nothing impressive, but way better than what she showed on her strawweight fight. So maybe Moura can be something moving forwards from here. Chris Weidman was supposed to fight Eric Anders, and it got cancelled the day of the fight. So that's it for the pay-per-view. It was the worst pay-per-view of the year. Just as I said that before it happened, and now that it happened, I can't confirm. Charles Oliveira was cool if you want to rewatch that. Ovan Elliott and Ramis Brahimaj put on good performances. Onava versus Romero was good. Jim Miller getting a submission was good. McGee versus Martinez was a complete disappointment. And Hoofy versus John Top was very fun. That, and if you want to watch out of morbid curiosity, the Jon Jones versus Steve, Jon Jones looked okay, but it was a pretty mediocre pay-per-view, to be honest. So let's get into some fight announcements. So Chamil Gassiev is fighting Thomas Peterson. If anyone is wondering who this guy is, I mean, Gassiev, I guess most people know. He's the guy that fought on that main event against Jairzinho Rosenstruck and gassed completely and got jabbed. And then the fight got stopped by the doctor or something, but he was like completely gassed. Thomas Peterson was a guy that, he's an NCAA wrestler. I'm not sure if Div 1 or Div 2, but he comes from Contender Series. He made his debut against Jama Pokes. Jama Pokes put on a pretty cool like southpaw anti-wrestler performance there out of nowhere. And then on his last fight, he won a pretty convincing fight against the bad Usman brother. So this is okay for heavyweight. I just wanted to mention it. Like honestly, like, you might laugh at this, but winner of this is probably looking at like fighting for a top 10 spot next or something. Like, heavyweight is tired right now. Brendan Allen is fighting Fluffy Anthony Hernandez. Not a main event as far as I know, which is interesting, right? These guys had a fight for the LFA title. I'm not sure if it was, I don't think it was for the title, but they fought in LFA. I think Brendan Allen won back in the day. Or was it Fluffy? I don't know, but they had a fight and apparently it was very good. So I have to get on watching that, even though they're probably like very different fighters right now. But still, I'm going to watch it for the cool grappling. Brendan Allen is one of the fights that I feel are kind of dangerous for Fluffy. He's more powerful on the feet. And he's a very good grappler. So I'm not sure. Like Fluffy will have to take some. We have to take some risk, especially on the feet. He needs to get the respect of Allen, go to the body a lot if he wants to get him tired. This is a dangerous fight for Fluffy, but I like it. I like it. This is good matchmaking. Ricky Turcios will fight Bernardo Sopai. They were supposed to fight like 2 weeks ago, and now this is rebooked for whoever cares. And if you care about like Ricky Turcios, like what's wrong with you? Julia Avila is fighting Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti has been looking solid as of late, so we'll see what goes on against Avila, who is like a very powerful athlete, but Avila looks so bad in her fight against Misha Tate, so I think Cavalcanti should clear here. Jasmine Jasudavicius will fight Mayra Buenosilva, who is dropping back to flyweight, so interesting fight, right? Because Jasudavicius is like aggressive and a very good grappler, so it will be interesting to see if Buenosilva manages her weight cut well. I mean, she can defend the pace and the grappling attack from Jasudavicius. Obviously, Buenosilva should have an advantage in the striking and in the clinch, unless Jasudavicius turns the clinch into like a wrestling thing, like to trying to get the fight to the mat. But it's a cool fight. Okay, Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie, they are fighting for the Flat Earth Championship. The weird thing about this is that this is a featherweight bout that will go on at UFC 310, so not far from now. And this will be on the main card, and Aljamain Sterling versus Ivloyev will not be on the main card. So this seems like a fuck you from the UFC against Aljo and Ivloyev, which I think the UFC likes neither of them. Very weird. And very weird too to give Kron like is Bryce still ranked? I think so. Yeah, I mean he probably is, right? Because he has that win over Ige like not long ago, so very weird. Could be interesting if they grapple, you gotta be honest. I feel like if Bryce Mitchell just top games him against the fence, he might just do that, and Bryce is like way better striker. But you know, Kron is legit grappler. If Bryce Mitchell shoots a bad takedown, he might get guillotined, so who knows, but I don't know, it's weird. I just wanted to say that it's very weird that this is main card for on a pay-per-view, especially because this is not guaranteed to be an exciting fight. I know the people love Bryce Mitchell, but weird fight. Vicente Luque was supposed to fight Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is obviously out because he's going through a bad time in his life right now, right? So this was supposed to be like an exciting, like a delight striking fight between veterans that are clearly like past it. But you could say that, okay, Luque versus Diaz, this might be an exciting striking bout between guys that are old and shit. So Nick Diaz is out, so who are you going to replace him with? Temba Gorimbo, of course. Of course. What in the fuck is this, man? Who wants to see this? Temba Gorimbo is very boring to watch. No, seems like a nice dude. I don't know much about him other than he trains at MMA Masters with. He has been like a main sparring partner for Colby Covington since Colby left American Top Team. And he fights kind of similar to Colby. He's like more athletic, less technical wrestler, but more physical. And man, Temba is like not fun to watch. And he's going to lay on top of all Vicente Luque. Our only hope is Vicente Luque catching a Dars, because this is going to suck. And this sucks more because it was supposed to be against Nick Diaz, right? And like, you know, Vicente Luque had like brain damage and all that kind of shit, and he has been looking complete trash in his last few fights. And it's been heartbreaking to see. It's going to suck to watch Temba Gorimbo lay on top of Vicente Luque, man. Shavkat Rakhmonov is fighting Ian Gary in the co-main event of UFC 310, because Belal was supposed to fight Shavkat, right? Belal is out, he's injured, and now Gary is filling in. This is a fight This is a round fight, but this is not for an interim title, which is very interesting. But this is a tremendous fight. I'm very excited about this one. Shavkat should have like clear advantages in some stuff, but I feel like if Gary moves on the outside with the length parity and his kick variety, he can make it competitive, and if he can avoid clinches or has some tech to like compete on the clinch and avoid takedowns, this could be an interesting fight, especially if it goes long, because I trust Gary to have like very good cardio if he goes late. And Shavkat, we don't know very well. I mean, he finished that third round against Neil, but both guys pretty tired there, right? Still, I mean, I think everyone thinks that Shavkat is going to wash him here. It might be the case, but I feel like this might be competitive for a while. I don't think this is unwinnable for Gary. So, very excited about this one. And Gary was supposed to fight Joaquin Buckley on December 2 on UFC Tampa. And filling in for Gary is Colby Covington. So this fight sucks all around. The UFC making me root for Joaquin Buckley. Like, what are we doing here? Hate Joaquin Buckley, but you gotta root for him against Colby, right? I think he's probably going to win. Like, Colby has been looking like ass for a while now. Buckley's like way too physical. He's going to hit Colby super hard. I don't think Buckley is going to get wrestled super easily, and I don't think Colby is the wrestler he was at one moment anymore. So yeah, this is probably going to be like, hopefully Buckley brings the violence and doesn't win like a super boring fight, right? Because he's very capable of putting on bad performances. For those who care, Hamdi Abdel Wahab is back. he stole many hearts in his debut, and now he's back, and he's fighting Jamal Pokes, who is kind of my boy, because I really like that performance that I mentioned against Peterson. So I think I'll be the billion here, because I'll be rooting for Jamal Pokes here against Hamdi, who is like a huge fan favorite because he's like a living meme here. Austin Bashi, who was very impressive in his Contender Series debut, is fighting Christian Rodriguez. And I have a funny story about this, because when I was watching this fight live on Contender Series earlier this year, I tweeted something like, oh, Bashi is the kind of guy that gets embarrassed by Christian Rodriguez, right? I tweeted that, didn't give two thoughts about it, went on with my life. 2 weeks ago, Anthony Showtime Pettis, who those who don't know, he's a training partner. Well, I'm not sure if he still trains, but he's from Rufus Sports, right? And C-Rod is a guy from Rufus Sports. So Anthony Showtime Pettis randomly likes my tweet about C-Rod embarrassing Bashi, and I was like, that's very weird. Is Anthony Pettis like searching for C-Rod on Twitter? Like, that was very random. And then this fight got announced, right? So I don't know how Pettis got to my tweet. So maybe someone showed it to him, but it was funny because it was before the announcement. So probably when Pettis liked my tweet, he knew this fight was coming. And now I'm a bit nervous because like Bashi very athletic, very powerful, but I think C-Rod should take this fight. And it would be insane if C-Rod takes this, because he has been taking on these kind of guys. Like, he did it to Rosa, he did it to... Oh, what's his name, man? Let me look real quick, because Bulgarian. He did it against Bulgarian, and now he's getting Bashi. It's insane how he keeps taking these like super athletic prospects that are like powerful grapplers, and he keeps pulling it off. I'm a bit nervous that he's not going to get the nod this time around, but I hope, because I like C-Rod a lot. I'm a big fan. Edson Barbosa is fighting Steve Garcia. Jesus Christ, man. This is where we at, right? Barbosa, I feel, is still way better than Steve Garcia, but Steve Garcia is durable, he's nasty when he hurts someone, and Barbosa has his sketchy moments. They can get into an ugly exchange. This makes me very nervous for Edson. I hope Edson can pull it off, because I feel like he's still way better. The Edson that fought against like like Sodiq Yusuf or against Leron Murphy, still a very good fighter. Way better than Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia is very big too. I mean, Edson obviously huge for featherweight, but yeah, Steve Garcia is a good grappler. So if he hurts Edson and goes to the ground, shit could get nasty too. So, but yeah, that's a fight for sure. Ray Suruya is coming back and he's fighting Stuart Nicol, who is a very good grappler himself, even though he got like submitted with us to be guillotine in his debut. But this is an interesting fight. I think Nicol is probably the better striker, but Suruya is probably bigger, more athletic. Very cool fight. Very cool fight. I think Suruya wins, but it's a very cool fight. Brutal matchmaking for Nicol. I mean, his debut, he was the one who messed up in his debut now, so he's like kind of getting punished for not getting the victory at home in his UFC debut. That's how I'm seeing it at least, but it's a very cool fight. Jimmy Crute is back after a long layoff and he's fighting Marcin Pragno. I feel like Marcin Pragno is a perfectly fine test to see where Jimmy Crute is at, so I think this is like good matchmaking. Santiago Ponzinibbio is fighting Carlston Harris. Kind of dangerous fight for Ponzinibbio, especially because he's getting slow, but he's still like very gritty and will spam 1-2s to the end of the fight and mixing the calf kicks. But Harris super long, packs big power, has chokes. Scary fight for Ponzinibbio. Mal Jones was supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt. He's now fighting Felipe Lima. I'm very excited to see Felipe Lima back in action. I feel like he's going to win this fight, but Miles Jones is probably going to be a tough fight. I mean, he's very durable. He has some counter-punching ability. He has big power. So all cool stuff, right? I think Felipe Lima is going to be too much for him, but very good fight. I'm very excited to see Felipe Lima back in action. So, and finally, Miranda Maverick was supposed to fight Tracy Cortez on December. Tracy is out, and Jamie Lynn Hurd, who won a fight 2 weeks ago, is fighting her. So interesting because like Hurd is like a well-rounded fighter that takes over a fight goes on, but Maverick is super well-rounded and is probably going to be like smaller but a stronger athlete, more dynamic. So it's going to be interesting to see if this goes long, if Maverick can like keep pace with Hurd. And that's for the fight announcements. Let's get into the next event. So the UFC is back at Macau, China, and the main event is great. We have Petr Yan against Deiveson Figueiredo. This is fantastic, even though this is like 3-4 years too late, but at this moment it's still a fantastic fight. Petr Yan is coming off that fantastic win against Song Yadong back in UFC 299, and Deiveson Figueiredo is himself coming off a big win against Marlon Chito Vera. This fight is going to deliver on the violent front. So some notes. Both guys not as confident as they were when they were champions, when they were at the peak of their games. Figueiredo still brings some kind of bravado, and he's been like bringing some more wrestling that could come in handy here for this fight. And he still packs like big power, especially he jabs people, they feel it immediately. He's very quick. He fights like at a lower volume. He takes the back foot more often now at bantamweight. And Petr Yan, you could see him regaining his confidence in that fight against Song Yadong and putting it all together, putting the transitions, the clinch, the jab, setting up the kicks. I always felt like Petr Yan is a bad matchup for Figueiredo. Like, he can compete everywhere with him. He's the more active and crafty boxer. Figueiredo's probably like the bigger puncher of the two, despite being the former flyweight, but he hits so hard. But Yan is a hitter himself, right? You cannot ignore the punches of Petr Yan. Figueiredo is always dangerous in the clinch during transitions, but I feel like Yan is very good at controlling transitions inside the clinch, using his footwork, his head movement, different grips. I made a a thread on Twitter and Blue Sky and Threads. I'll be talking about that later. But about how Jan mixes his shifting into clinches very well into fights, and that could come in handy here, but he needs to be careful because Figueiredo is very dangerous with the timing of his knees. Also, he needs to be careful if he's going to be shifting into range with the takedowns of Figueiredo, so that's something to watch out for. This is 5 rounds, and I feel like 5 rounds favors Petr Yan right now, so, but very excited about this. This is a tremendous fight. The co-main event is Yan Xiaonan against Tabata Ricci. Ricci, who has not been very active with the takedowns as of late, I think she's going to bring them there here. Not only because Yan Xiaonan is like by far the better striker in this matchup, but because she still has holes to her grappling and her wrestling. So it's a good, relevant fight. No complaints on my part. Hopefully Yan Xiaonan can keep it on the feet because I feel like it's going to be more exciting. But Yan Xiaonan still shows some improvement and some chops in her fight against Zhang Weili when it came to the grappling. And she was able to defend the grappling from Mackenzie Dern. So Tabata Ricci, more of a controlling kind of grappler. So if Ricci gets her way and goes like top position and slow ground and pound, this might be a bit boring. Hopefully it is a good fight. Song Kenan is fighting Muslim Salikov. Perfectly fine veterans fight at 170. Both guys coming off wins. They finally broke, both I think broke losing streaks. Okay, no, Song Kenan is like 2-1 in his last 3. And Salikov broke a 2-fight losing streak with his win against Santiago Ponzinibbio. But this is good because it's a fight between strikers, Sanda strikers, mind you. And they are like at similar parts of their career. I feel like Salikov at his best was a lot better than Song Kenan, but I feel like Song Kenan is the most athletic of the two because I feel he's younger. He looks a lot younger at least, but Song Kenan is 34. He gotta be younger than Salikov, right? No way Salikov is like, yeah, Salikov is 40. So yeah, it's a cool fight. Wang Kong is back. The Joker, for former Sanda standout, who also has a victory in kickboxing against Valentina Shevchenko, made her debut with a huge one right hand knockout. She's fighting Gabriela Fernandez. I don't think I remember Gabriela Fernandez. Yeah, I don't. So hopefully Wang Kong puts on a good performance. Volkan Oezdemir is fighting Carlos Ulberg. Very interesting fight at 205. Will be interesting to see if Oezdemir is going to mix some takedowns here. Ulberg is probably one of the few guys that have like a striking advantage against Oezdemir, and Oezdemir has been looking solid. It's like he regained his groove, especially on the feet as of late. Oezdemir has some like janky moments that it's the kind of stuff that Ulberg likes to punish. But at the same time, we've seen Ulberg get tired. Oezdemir, despite the the early knockouts early in his career, he is a 3-round fighter that can dig deep. So this is a very good test for Ulberg, and if Oezdemir wins, he keeps mounting momentum. We have a fight between Ossie Diaz and Ming Yang Zhang. I don't think I'm familiar. Oh, these guys are light heavyweights. So Ossie Diaz is making his debut here. He's coming from the LFA, and he's coming off a win of Bevon Lewis. Remember when people thought that Bevon Lewis was going to be like the Jon Jones of middleweight? Yeah. Min Yang Zhang is that guy that fought Brenson Hibero. And yeah, I remember this guy now. He's very exciting. He's like very silly, but he's very exciting. So yeah, cool. Then we have the finals to the Road to UFC tournament. We have a bantamweight bout between Su Young Yu from South Korea against Ban Gil Jenny Sully from China. Then at flyweight, we have a fight between British Kiru Sahota against South Korean Dong Hoon Choi. And we have a final for... Oh, what weight class is this? Please. This is a strawweight. So we have a strawweight bout between Xiao Ganfeng and Ming Shi, both girls from China. That's the final for strawweight. We also have Carlos Hernandez, who's coming from that very competitive fight against Rey Suruya. And before that, he made it kind of competitive before getting finished by Tatsuro Taira. So this matchmaking has been brutal. And he's fighting yet another unbeaten prospect in Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. So insane matchmaking, right? I hope Carlos Hernandez can pull it off. Nothing against Tumendemberel, but Hernandez has getting like rough matchmaking despite being very good, so I hope he can win. Loner Kavanagh, like the big name coming out of this season of Contender Series. He fights out of China. I don't know what's the deal with that, but he's making his UFC debut against Jose Ochoa. Hopefully this is a banger. Then we have a fight between Long Xiao and Vietnamese Quang Lee. And the opener has Mahesh Shate against Nicolas Mota, and we should be like exciting striking action at lightweight. The interesting thing of this card is that it's on China time, so the prelims, for me at least, begin at 5 a.m. I think I will wake up early and just watch live, and I'm going to be doing a fight companion for, I don't know, top 2 maybe? We'll see, but I'll be going live for those of you that enjoyed that. So yeah, remember guys that you can find me on Twitter, and now you can also find me on Threads. On Threads I am Feño_TFS, I think. Yeah, Feño_TFS. I will put the links on the description, and I also on Blue Sky. And on Blue Sky, I'm just Feño. Anyway, links in the description. I'm tweeting my threads, analysis threads, on all 3 apps at the moment. So just go and follow me wherever you want and engage with me over there. If you want to support me personally and the fight site as an ongoing project, you can head over to Patreon. And for only $5, you can get access to all of exclusive content, and also the Discord server that is very cool. And that's the podcast, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you guys next. Oh, also, I'll be uploading alternate fight commentary for Pierre Yan versus Song Yedong and Davison Figueiredo against Chito Vera. That's going only for Patreons. So if you want to get on that, head over to Patreon, links on the description. That's it. I'm Feño from the Fight Side. Catch you later, guys. Bye.